ability to float the minutes from the last meeting and then obviously the agenda for today. And then obviously because of bandwidth, I will just switch off my camera just so that the connection is stable. As always, please do look at the emails and just let us know if all is correct. And if there's any errors that need to be made, please do let us know in the chat box and rectify any errors. Also the links to all our social media platforms and our website is in the chat box as well. So please do look at the chat box and follow those links to the relevant channels. Thanks for that, Katie. As you all can see, there was a lot of information shared at our last chapter meeting, which was also the 30th of September. For those who missed that, please just let us know so Katie can share the minutes with you so you can read and be up to date with everything that's happening in the space. Yes, so please, okay, thank you for that, Katie. So on my side, I have received apologies from Angela, who is attending the City Powers Energy Indaba, happening today and tomorrow at the Marriott Hotel in Melrose Arc, which will obviously be a reason why some of the colleagues today wouldn't be in attendance because they are needed on that side as well. Those who want any event details on that, please do reach out to me. And then there's a few changes that's going to happen due to that event to this agenda. One, the Presidential Working Group 8 won't be giving their update at this session, but they will be giving their update on the 25th of November at the next chapter meeting, because obviously there's that whole restructuring of the Presidential Working Groups. So a lot of groups will be changing, groups will be joining other groups and becoming one bigger group. So in terms of the Presidential Working Groups, please look out for that. There'll be a few changes. And then yes, also I received apologies from Kelvin from Tough as well. And then J Poma, as I said, Angela is at the Energy Indaba. And then the only switch I'll have to do now is the Braamfontein Improvement District will start in terms of the presentations as they did launch their placemaking project recently. And then also the Accelerated Service Delivery Task Team also asked to present at the 25th of November. They are also wrapped up in a lot of mayoral interventions, so they won't be able to join us today as well. So yeah, those are the main updates. I think I can make this other update as well now. For next week's Urban Practice Forum, that one will have to be canceled because it's happening at the same time as as Salga's Urban Management and Governance Workshop. That'll be happening on the 4th of November, the whole day, at Machal's Training Academy, 23 Weber Street. So anyone who needs an invitation to that, please do let us know as well. And yeah, with that being said, everything else in terms of updates, Katie will obviously usually share through email. For example, the land value land value capture webinar happening tomorrow around SRAs and infrastructure financing. So just look out for an email or messages from Katie on our various channels for those updates, and invitations to engagements and meetings and so on and so forth. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, Kelvin, are you ready to come in and share about the amazing launch that you guys had in Bloemfontein?
Good morning, team. Katlego, can I just give me some few minutes? Can you
No,
just give me minutes?
no problem, Kelvin. No problem.
Yeah, let's say probably 5 minutes if it's okay. I'm getting my presentation ready here to flight it.
Okay, no problem. While Kelvin is sorting that out, I wanted to see if anyone from tourism just wanted to make a few comments around some of the updates from the master plan, just anticipation of the G20 summit. Just a few words, maybe just to say everything's going according to plan or any assistance that might be needed. I know I'm putting on spot, but maybe Tim because also do you want to just say a few words on that?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Thembinkosi Sindane from Johannesburg Tourism Company. In terms of the updates on the tourism master plan, we have developed a draft master plan, and we have now also proceeded to project packaging, that is the development of business cases. In a few weeks' time, we're going to have a stakeholder engagement session to present the master plan and the business cases. So that's where we are at the moment. I would say we are 99% done in terms of the development of a master plan. And there's a project that we have also embarked on, which is the development of thematic routes across the city. There are 11 routes that we are introducing in the city in preparation for the upcoming G20 and beyond. And in terms of that, we have done the mapping of the routes. Those who attended the previous JPF Tourism Forum would know that or might have seen a presentation on the various maps that we presented to the forum. So that's where we are with those two projects, and there are various other initiatives that are in the pipeline. There is trainings that we are doing also with UNISA, and there is a stakeholder, not a stakeholder, a market access and funding workshop that we are planning, whereby we'll invite various state departments and funding entities to come and present their offerings to tourism stakeholders in the city. So yeah, Kat, that's basically what we are doing. The updates on various projects that we have that we are doing as Johannesburg Tourism Company, and some of the projects that are in the pipeline. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Tim Binkosi. He did share the draft master plan with us. But for anyone who wants to really ask a question, I'll just give you like a few seconds to put your hand up if you want to just ask. If you want to ask Tim, go say a direct question around the tourism master plan. I see Kelvin has flighted his presentation. Alternatively, if you don't have a question off the top of your mind right now, please do put it in the chat box and then I will circle back to it after Kelvin's presentation. I also see Mr. Parker has shared the link to the Energy Indaba. So also after this chapter meeting, I guess you guys can also just go into that and live stream it on Facebook. Thank you for that, Andrew. And then Katie has been proactive and put the link to the tourism master plan that we posted on the GPMA website. So you can also click that link and read up. And then maybe from there, you will have more questions for Tembing Gosi and his team. And then we will share that with them to give you the feedback that you require as a valued member of the network. Thank you for that. So I'm assuming, Kelvin, you're ready. So you can go ahead when you are fine. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Chair Katleho, for inviting us to share the work that we have been undertaking in the BRAAM Improvement District. Let me take you through my presentation. Katleho, I know that you mainly requested that I share the project launch, but I saw it important to just share with the team what we do on daily basis. And yeah, so I'll start with that, and then when I'm nearing the end of my presentation is where I will share the project launch that we took place on the 17th of October. Okay, colleagues, we are the BRAAM Improvement District. What we do, as everyone knows, that BRAAM is a dynamic inner city neighborhood known to its youthful energy, cultural diversity, and being a hub for education, arts, and innovation. Just to give you a brief background, BRAAM Improvement District was established in 2003, and in response to a then noticeable lack of basic service delivery, such as cleaning, safety and security in the public space, and therefore the property owners wanted to safeguard and enhance their property market value. Therefore, they came together and established this improvement district, and it was legislated and until 2015, and it became a voluntary initiative to date. And as everyone is aware, we also rely on collection membership fees in order to pay our service providers who provide essential services on the ground, like security, cleaning and maintenance. Also put some funds for placemaking projects, which I will share with you our latest placemaking projects that we are undertaking and then that we have completed. On this slide, I'm showing our currently.
Kelvin,
yes,
can you please go into presentation mode, like a full screen for the slides? Thank you.
From my side is on.
So it's on the
It's
bottom right, essentially.
On my side, Katlego is on the presentation mode. I don't know what's happening.
Maybe try stop sharing and then reshare the slides.
Okay. Let me do that, Katlego.
Okay.
And how is it now? Katlego?
Well, it's not on full screen mode on my side. Katie, is it on full screen on your side? Maybe it's my end.
No, but I think, Kelvin, if you're not managing, then just make sure you click on the slide that you're talking about so that we see it. So we're seeing the map at the moment, the boundary map.
Yes, slide 3.
Yes, I am on the full screen presentation mode. That's why I can only see slides, the map on my side. Can I continue or should I?
Yeah, I think just continue and let's see how it goes.
Okay, but is my screen visible even it's not showing full screen?
Yeah, we're seeing the boundary map at the moment.
Okay. So I was saying this is our currently operational boundary, which is informed by our membership footprint. As you see on the northern side, our boundary is hoofed, and on the southern side, our boundary is laid. And as you see, when going the east side, we go as far as hospital. In some areas, we slaved a civic boulevard, and below is Simon's. Yeah, basically, the boundary, it is informed by our currently footprint. And this is the area that we currently look after. Okay, this is our organogram. This is the structure of the BID. We got, obviously, we'll have members who elect the board members, and the board members are the governing high structure governing of the organization, and below the board of directors we have a meeting which we call it audit and risk committee. They do oversight of financials. This committee does oversight of financials. It is chaired by one of the directors. And on my right, you got a Scrum. This is cleaning, security, cleaning, and urban management. So this committee, it is a high-level strategic committee to oversee cleaning, security, and urban management. Below that, we got bid management, which consists of prison manager and myself, which is myself, and the admin/ops assistant. Below the management, we have service providers. Is currently listed as the financial service provider. Accelerate, they provide the cleaning services. We have Buzz Hive, they are our publicity. They manage our social medias, newsletters, etc. We have Vumakem, they provide a CCTV camera feed into our local joint operation center, which is monitored by Bad Boys Security. Lastly, we got Bad Boys Security.
Kelvin.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt again. Katie was saying possibly the issue with your slides is maybe if you switch your camera off, because what's happening now is it's stuck on slide 3, and I can hear you speaking about slide 4 and going into slide 5. So you see, it only changed to slide 5 now. So maybe try switch off your camera just so that we see if it'll catch up with your pace. But it's showing slide 5 now, so you can proceed with the membership and financial overview. Thank you.
Okay. Is it on full screen now? Or still?
No, it's not on full screen. Maybe you see at the top right, it says present in Teams. Maybe try click that button. Let's see what happens there. Okay, it's not doing anything. Okay, so if you go down at the bottom right by the zoom panel on the left, that left icon, maybe try clicking that icon on the left. After that zoom thing. Yes, that one.
Okay, currently it's saying loading the file in PowerPoint live. It's taking time. So he wants me to cancel. Either I must cancel because it is taking time to load. Let me just cancel this. Is it on presentation mode now?
Well, no, but it's on slide 5, and then so since you canceled that PowerPoint live one, maybe now if you toggle to that bottom right icon I was telling you about by the Zoom.
The right icon.
No, on the left it's the slideshow button on the bottom. No, on the bottom right, on the left of the Zoom feature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I went to it.
Yes, please click that.
I've clicked it. Still not showing. Still showing the same, Gagraha?
Yeah, I think you can proceed actually, because it's on slide 5, which is the slide that you desire, correct?
Okay. No, you suggest that I carry on.
Yes.
Okay. On this slide 5, this is membership and financial overview. This, as you see, I've got pie charts in front of me showing the major contributors on my left. These are top 5. Currently, South Point, they are the highest contributors, followed by Liberty, and followed by VETS, as well as followed by Consolidated Urban Corporation, and followed by Rosebank College and other members. On my right, this is an expenditure breakdown of our budget. Our safety and security contracts takes a big chunk of our budget. As you see, it is 65%. given the reason that safety and security, that is our main priority, followed by the cleaning contracts, and then other operational expenditure, and followed by, you see, maintenance, as we normally purchase pavers, river sands, paint, and other materials and tools that are required to do the maintenance work. Let me move forward. Okay, the financial model. Currently, I did indicate that we are a voluntary initiative, and it is really a challenge because we have those buildings located in strategic locations within the BID members, and they are freeloaders, so they are benefiting from our services without paying, and maybe the implementation of the special rating areas policy or the IMSD bylaw will really assist us to be more financially sustainable in enforcing or making everyone within the boundaries obliged to pay the fees. Yeah, that will be that will allow us to enhance the services that we are currently providing.
Kelvin.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you exit full screen mode and then just navigate out of full screen mode, just so that we move at the same time as you? Because yes, like just operate from this view, and then yeah, just carry on from here. Thanks.
Okay. I'm on slide 7, operations.
Yes. Now slide 7 is appearing. Thanks.
Okay. As you see, the line graph that is showing the crime stats trends analysis, and as you see that our major concern mostly is common robberies like your cell phone snatching, as well as theft under false pretense, and mainly they are targeting students, and as they are vulnerable, in particular in the beginning of the year. You know, you always have new students coming from the different parts of the country, and they are really vulnerable. But we are conducting awareness campaigns ongoing, and with the introduction of the CCTV cameras around 2019, we have seen a decline in cell phone snatching, because these cameras are equipped with license plate recognition, which really assist us. But as you know, opportunistic crimes, we really need to change the behavior of the public in terms of them to becoming streetwise. Yeah, we are on ongoing basis. We are undertaking joint operations with JMPD and SAPS to deal with what called bylaw infringements, to provide a high visibility as a way of preventing crime. The Southeast cluster, it remains a serious problem to us in Braamfontein. So the Southeast cluster is an area which is from Jutta Street towards Leeds, from, let's say, from Simmons towards Risic and Park Station. And those unregulated bus ranks are the cause of all the problems that you are experiencing in that particular area. Hopefully, once the GT has been opened, they will be forcefully removed and move to the JIT. Let me move forward. This slide shows it depicts the work or demonstrates the work that is being undertaken during joint operations, as well as the CCTV Joint Operation Center. This is the urban management slide. As you see, we are tracking all service delivery issues that we identify and log calls for them to be attended on the ground. As you see, we have logged 211 from 1st of January 2024 and year to date, and 189 of those have been resolved and 22 outstanding. And as you see, Joburg Water remains really a low performing entity, if I can put it like that, because they constantly dug up to repair best water pipes. Sometimes they leave those pipes not properly repaired, water flowing, and they take too long to close those trenches. And on the other hand, GRA is not copying in terms of reinstatements, because if it is in the road, we rely on GRA to come and reinstate. However, we have taken upon ourselves anything that is on the sidewalk, sidewalks, we do it ourselves. We just monitor if for 7 days, so we close the hole ourselves and reinstate. As I mentioned that we buy material like river sand and pavers to ensure that we use the correct spec of the paving. Yeah, as you see that because of the relationships that we have forged with the City of Johannesburg entity managers, compared to unmanaged areas, we are getting quicker resolutions. The following slide, which is slide 10, this is just an overview of cleaning and maintenance. Our service provider on daily basis, we clean the streets, we remove weeds, we remove illegal pasted posters, we deep clean urination spots across the precinct. We also maintain road medians and flower beds and just landscape areas. We also, every 2 weeks, clean up the M1 on and off ramps, which is Empire, Young Smarts, and Smith Street. So this is an ongoing thing. The next slide, it just shows demonstrate the work of the team, of the maintenance team on the ground. As you see, Joburg Water dug up, we are reinstating the pavement. Yeah, we have taken upon ourselves definitely to attend to anything that we can or we are permitted to do. Okay, this next slide, this is the Ameshoff Street identity and placemaking project that we have been undertaking. We were focusing on two bookends of Ameshoff. On the western side is that corner Ameshoff and Betha, where there is an Elan statue. We call it Elan Square. The work that we undertaken in that particular node, we have enhanced lighting by installing lights, and we have installed benches and some string lights, and that work has been completed. And on the eastern side is behind Joburg Theatre and between Rennie's house and where the mayor is currently sitting at the Old Isapi building. In that plaza, we have restored the fountain that has been dry for years, and we have installed lighting and installed customer-made benches on that. And there was an upgrade of the landscape. Let me move forward. And we also installed string lights along Ameshoff from the plaza to Betha. And on the 17th of October, we had a launch of the project, and the launch was attended by City of Johannesburg officials, MMC of Tebogo Ngo. I'm struggling to pronounce this man's surname. Tebogo Ngo. On behalf of the city, he attended on behalf of the City of Johannesburg Executive Mayor. In attendance were 100+ guests. As I mentioned, our stakeholders and partners were present: Jozi, my Jozi, GPMA, JICP, Joburg Theatre, Liberty, Con Urban, and the Ward Councillor, and various stakeholders. And we had performances from the Vets Choir, Joburg Ballet, Soweto Theatre, Youth Orchestra, National School of Arts, Spanish Dance Society. Speeches were delivered by the following. This is Tiro Pillay from Liberty, and Israel Mkhumutsi officiated the opening of the Elan Square, and Mark gave a speech on the plaza as they are the project funders, and Koliswa spoke on behalf of BID. The Ward Councillor welcomed the people in his ward, and the keynote address was given by the MMC Tebogo Ngo of Community Development on behalf of the Executive Mayor. The vote of thanks was given by Kelvin Tshabalala. And this project was funded by the BID, Liberty, Consolidated Urban, as well as the Joburg Theatre. So this project proved that really collaboration is key, and also because Joburg Theatre, it is a City of Johannesburg entity, so it proves that it encourages the private public partnerships. These are some of the pictures of the, as you see, there is Okay, most importantly that I forgot, the fountain, we installed a mosaic in the fountain, which really tells the story of Johannesburg. It is called a watershed. It really tells the story of Johannesburg. And then we'll be putting up an information board there, just explaining it, giving an explanation of the mosaic, so that anyone who visits there will understand what is the meaning of the mosaic. These are the pictures showing the event taking place. The ribbon cutting there by the MMC, and that's Oliswa, the CEO of Joburg Theatre. She's also the BID chairperson. That's what councillor there. Yeah, this is showing some performances as well as the speakers. Most importantly, I forgot. What made this launch unique and distinct was the JMPD band. So we had a JMPD band that led the procession from the Elan Square up Ameshoff until the fountain, the Joburg Theatre Plaza. And as you see, they are saluting the MMC before he cut the ribbon. Yeah, these are some of the pictures of the speakers, and yeah, there was a media coverage as well. As you see, the lights at night. And let me play a short video now.
Kelvin, please pause the video first. So what you need to do is when you share your slides, there's an option at the top that says include sound. So you need to reshare your slides and then say include sound so that we get the sound of the video.
So for now, it's not.
There's no sound. So you have to stop sharing your slides. And then when you do press share slides, there's a option at the top that says include sound. So you just click that option and then you share your slides again.
Yeah, we are learning as we go.
No problem, no problem. Can you see that option, the include sound thing?
Before I share?
Yes, so you press the share button and then just underneath, once you pressed it, there's an include sound thing that you can tap. Yes, now the slides are perfect. Then you can just go back to, I think it was slide 20 or 21, one of the two, and then just play the video.
So now what's happening? Can you see what is happening?
Um,
Can you see the slides?
yeah, it's on slide 1.
Okay. But this is now showing in a full screen mode.
Yes, it's showing perfectly now.
Are the slides moving?
Yes, yes, yes. We are at the video now.
Can I play it? Is it playing?
Yes, it's playing.
Can you hear the sound?
Yes.
What happened? I don't know what's happening. Can you hear it, Katlego?
Yes, yes, yes.
It keeps on cutting.
Wait, Kelvin, please pause.
Yes. I've paused. I've paused. What should I do?
So it's playing properly. I don't know why it keeps restarting. So I think just press play and then let's watch it through because it keeps restarting the video, but the sound is perfect.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Yeah, for those that were not present, yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Katlego, I think I've exhausted a lot of time. I wanted to tell you more about something else, but I think I can leave it here.
Thanks a lot for that, Kelvin. The video came out incredibly. Big shout out to the people who created the video. Special mention to obviously Dion McDonald, that's Paza Art Gallery for the mosaic, and Njabulo Pegani from Local Studios for the urban design work that they did for you guys. Any questions for Kelvin? Mamba Figile, you can go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, Katlego, and good morning, colleagues. Mine is not a question. It's just to say to Kelvin, thank you very much for the wonderful work. I know this to have a project and an event like this takes a lot of energy, and I'm very excited to have a neighbor like BRAAM Fontaine. You are keeping it alive for both of us. Thank you very much. But I don't know why I wasn't there. No, it's a joke. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you for your wonderful work.
I'm sure Kelvin appreciates that. Kelvin, I don't know why you didn't invite her.
Thank you so much, Mamba Figile. Yeah, as you know, I was overwhelmed, and things. Yeah. You in future, don't worry. You'll be invited.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
No problem. That was great, man. Any more questions for Kelvin? Yeah. So any other questions, we'll just put them in the chat, or you can send them to me privately. Maybe you want to go see the new fountain. And yeah, you want to reach out to Kelvin, just let me know. Yeah, thank you for that presentation, Kelvin. It was a very lovely, lovely launch, well attended, and well received. So yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for the hard work that you're putting into Braamfontein. Hopefully with this other phase that you want to do, the road crossings will bring you back, obviously, once some of the phases have started to, break ground, and we'll just keep track with that as well. Thanks, Calvin.
Thank you, colleagues. Yeah, it's collaboration. Collaboration is key. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Okay, so moving on, the second one, agenda item will be from Mr. Dean Weil, from IQ Business / Jozi My Jozi. He is leading the team, tasked with the heavy burden of addressing homelessness in Johannesburg. And obviously, he's going to share with us updates from the homelessness point in time count that happened on the 20th of August. Obviously in collaboration with your U-Turns, MES, JHN, Jozi My Jozi, so on and so forth. So Dean's just going to update us on the progress made thus far with that. Dean, thanks for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Carlejo. Thanks for having me here, everyone. It's great to meet you all and connect and share with you what we've been up to. And I think just to make an amendment to what you're saying there, we had a lot of help from the SIDS in terms of the security and the purveying of the areas in advance of the count. So I just wanted to say thanks to everyone here that was involved. I saw Rion also join the call, who was very keenly involved throughout the entire process of the points in time count. So it's great to be partnering with you guys on things like this, and yeah, I think in general making our community safer, better, and its residents well looked after. So we'll thank you for that, and on that note, I will share my screen and take you through what is happening. Is that showing for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so Jozi My Jozi have been tackling homelessness as one of the main issues under its social pillar for the last year or so now. And as we've been getting involved in this work of homelessness, we've understood that there are a few things that we really need to get right in order to tackle this thing in quite a methodical and logical way. And one of the big things about that is having really accurate and up-to-date data around the situation of homelessness. And the best way to go about getting that data was conducting a point-in-time count. This is something we're actively looking to continue at least twice a year. But this was the first iteration. It's the first time a point-in-time count has been conducted in Johannesburg of homeless people specifically. And we basically used it as a pilot to see how would we actually go about this exercise, what elements would be entailed in completing it, and how do we go about it, doing it collaboratively. So on that, and just talking about a little bit more why we need to get the data and why it's so important. And I often show this little picture when I start my presentations, because as a lot of us know, or if you don't know, that there's no innate reason why someone's homeless. There's so many different unique reasons why people are experiencing homelessness, and often it's not even in their control. The people have moved to Joburg seeking work, didn't get it, don't have money to get home. Or as there's like student debt, for example, mental illness, family rejection. So yeah, if it was only just about lack of homes, we'd have a much easier task in our hands, but it's unfortunately not the case. And to adequately support the people that are experiencing homelessness, we have to really deeply understand what are the issues that they're facing and then how do we actually create the right pathways out of homelessness for them. So essentially, looking at the point in time counts, as I said, we want to establish a reliable baseline of understanding of what homelessness is looking like in Joburg, use this to inform service planning and resource allocation, monitor the effectiveness of interventions over time, and contribute to making homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. On top of, I think, just all the things I mentioned now, it's us, and this is when it comes to having like really accurate, reliable data. I think it's been widely deemed by the people who are working in the industry that the 2022 census was a severe undercount of the number of people that are experiencing homelessness in Joburg. And that's why we need to have these accurate, regular counts so we can really understand what the size of the problem is and where the resources are most needed. There we go. So in terms of our key partners that helped us with the point in time counts, we had U-Turn, MES, Standard Bank, Wits University, UJ, Nando's, the firm, Local Abode, Maharishi Security Mastery Academy, the Joburg SIDS, as I mentioned earlier, and we also had support from the Gauteng Department of Social Development, COCTA, GCRO, and the COJ. In terms of our strategy and approach, we essentially wanted to establish a methodology for how we would go about conducting a point-in-time count in Joburg. Our methodology, where it started with, was we took influence from what Cape Town did in their point-in-time count. They conducted one in November last year. So we had, that was put on by U-Turn. Specifically, and we had them help us with our planning and our adaptation to Joburg, because as you can imagine, there are quite a lot of different elements to deal with. So in terms of, as I said, we're going to try to conduct this every 6 months. In terms of who helps us with it, it's volunteers from multiple groups, and it's essentially the community that needs to come together and conduct the count. Because this doesn't necessarily sit with any one particular organization, and we all would benefit from the information that is generated from it. We see it as that kind of community-led initiative that everyone participates in, and we actually need the unique insights and perspectives of people that operate in the different areas. So as we see this extending in terms of the geographic coverage, we need to have the different community leaders taking their different groups like on the point in time counts and generating that information and then using it as they need thereafter. In terms of data collection and safeguards, we actually ended up using mainly paper-based forms. This is just to safety concerns when people are out in the streets. We also had a mobile web form, which we used when we actually went out and we had a few cars go to different areas that were deemed too unsafe for walking, and use that had geo trackers to actually pin where we found people, and the different forms asked different questions. I'll get into the forms shortly, but yeah, we had the count form, we had a questionnaire form. We followed up in terms of like the drop-in centers to verify the coverage and how many people they had in their shelter at night. Law enforcement were keenly involved in what we did and advised us appropriately in how to go about conducting the counts and make sure that people who were involved in volunteering were safe. Yeah, then the preparation and training was fairly extensive. We trained like a group of trainers from Maharishi that essentially became our team leads, who were very well aware of like what are all the prescriptions and safeguards to take when conducting a point in time counts, and then conveyed that to the volunteers who showed up on the day. So there was a lot of planning and prep that went into this. In terms of budgeting, this was also something I think where we had the community really come together and just essentially give what they could. A lot of the stuff, including the food and some of the equipment and security, were donated. Some of it we had to pay for, but largely costs were kept low. I think just the caveats in terms of looking at this is that it did not include fees that would be charged by the people involved in planning the counts. Myself, for an example, I'm a CA and project manager, so you can imagine the fees I would be charging for the amount of hours put into this. And that's why it's like, it's important that you utilize the professional skills of people that are involved in something like your SIDS, in your Jozi, my Josies, or how we work with our different partners that are with us. We leverage the skills, and that's how we get people to actually contribute to the initiatives that we're running, because that would be the most significant cost. In terms of what actually we did, we used Standard Bank's 14 Thorpe Street as our central hub, from where we had people gathering, and then they dispersed from that central hub. So this is where we did our setup, our registration, our briefings, and ultimately the deployments, and then had people return to there for their debrief and closeouts of the day. In terms of how people were allocated within their teams, it was we generally aimed to have teams of 4 to 5 people. That actually worked where we did the count in Linden. In Johannesburg, in the CBD area, we actually were oversubscribed with volunteers, so we ended up having teams. We had about 8 teams of 14 to 16 people. So when we did a bit of feedback, we have to improve upon that, and I think manage numbers better, because I think a lot of people were not doing a specific thing within a group and tended to wander. But generally, if you have about 4 to 5 people, the roles and responsibilities are split as such. You had your team lead, who's responsible for navigation and protocols. We had undercover security personnel managing the safety of the group. We had people that were responsible for recording the count form, people responsible for conducting the questionnaire, and then also people handing out information sheets and shelter contact information. And then we also had to obviously collect the count forms and questionnaire. And what was also great is that some of our groups had people with lived experience of homelessness. So we tasked them with actually being that person that initially engaged with groups of homeless people, to just let them know why we were here, what we were doing, and if they wanted to voluntarily partake in conducting a questionnaire, for example. So the difference between the count form and the questionnaire is essentially the count form was all our observable data. That's just how many people in the area, what are the demographics, what are the kinds of structures that are there in, and then the location. And the questionnaire was more personal. It's asking, I think, deep underlying questions, and we'll get into the data results soon. Basically asking things like how long have you been homeless, what caused you to be homeless, etc. But we'll get into the information shortly. In terms of timelines, it took a significant amount of planning to get this initial point in time counts going. We started planning and discussing the point in time counts around mid-May. We had an initial proposed date in July, which was then moved out. Also, just the more we got into it, the more elements we discovered, and then had to figure out. The more we had to create more leeway for planning and logistics. We then decided on a day, the 6th of August, which ultimately just got moved back to the 20th. Again, I think just for final logistics and planning, also mainly to ensure everyone's safety. So that was our main concern on the night. That the perspective that we needed to maintain was that it was a pilot. There were things that we were going to get right. There were things we were going to get wrong. But what we could not get wrong was making sure that people were safe. So that's where just the final push out came from. But ultimately on the day, nothing happened. There were no incidents reported. Everyone gave feedback that they felt very safe and well looked after, and they'd be willing to do it again. So I think just the general advice now, I would say for any communities that would like to partake in a future count and conduct it in their area, is that whatever amount of time you think it's going to take to plan and execute, times that by 2 pi, and that's probably how long it will end up taking. In terms of counting areas, this is how we ended up subdividing the city of Joburg, and the idea was to understand where the hotspots were in each of these areas. And also profile them in terms of risk. So if they were deemed unsafe, we'd have to have different protocols for those areas. So generally, if it was a safe area and had hotspots, those were like our primary areas that we wanted to make sure that we tackled. So unfortunately, just with the planning at the end of the day, we didn't get up to areas like Yeovil and Berea and like the Troyville, Bertram's side of the city, and we ended up mainly focusing on the middle of the city. And I'll show you our map ended up looking a little more something like this, where we had Braamfontein and kind of the lower part of the CBD below the train tracks, just left of Hillbrow and Maboneng. The pink dots are the information that we got from the different security groups and the SID teams, indicating where homeless hotspots were. So when we divided the area, that's where we wanted to tackle first. The blue areas are essentially where we had people walking. That was organized by Jozi, and those people were responsible for. In your Hillbrow area, we had MES as a key partner in actually conducting the count there. They did it both in the early morning and the late evening on the 20th to just get overall coverage of the area. And without their experience and familiarity with the area, we wouldn't have been able to get information from there. So I think that's just a further example of how important it is to have the community buy-in for conducting a count like this. The red areas, the red dotted areas are areas we deem really too unsafe to investigate on foot. So this is where we actually managed the count from a car, and we drove through the areas and just did the geo-tracking of where exactly we spotted people, and then again, what was the observable data. So we weren't able to conduct interviews with the car, but for all the other areas, we were able to conduct interviews and fill in the questionnaire. Just to give you an example of what we handed out to our teams on the day and how they used it to navigate. This was a map, and this was like a designated area. So it was an instruction walk. This particular area, people walked from 14 Thorpe. And then when it came to the area coverage, we told them you kind of need to zigzag through each of the streets and make sure you cover every single road. And then when you come back, you can kind of double down to some extent and see if anything's changed, and obviously just record the changes, because what we realized we did a dry run before the 20th count, and we realized that we actually went too early on the dry run. So we conducted the actual count between 8 and 11, and that's when generally the time people who are experiencing homelessness tend to like settle down and find their spot. But often, even when we did the count form, we'd ask, like, we could see there are 5 people here, but we'd ask them how many people usually sleep here, and they would say 15. So that's also influenced how we recorded the data. Just another example at that lower Marshalltown area, and then just another example of the upper Braamfontein area. So in terms of a high-level overview of the results from the counts, we had over 200 volunteers mobilized into the city and the Linden area, collecting about 142 count forms and 121 additional questionnaires. And we recorded over 2,000 homeless people in the areas that we conducted the counts. Just in terms of the heat map, and you can just see where we located people from the counts. So this was the geotagging that I was talking about. You can see the different densities in terms of where the homeless guys were residing. In terms of the profile, we had 119 respondents, so that's just the count forms and the questionnaires, and the distribution between the areas. Area A was that lower CBD area that I was showing you above, like where Marshalltown is. Area L was Linden, Area B was Braamfontein, and Area H was Hillbrow. So you can see the most significant amount of people came from that lower CBD area, with the Hillbrow and Braamfontein then contributing thereafter. Linden, I think, was just very dispersed, and I think also can be typically harder to find homeless people because there are more areas to kind of find a place to stay that is really out of the public eye. So these are other things we have to take into account. In terms of the demographic overview, You can see that majority of people experiencing homelessness were Black and African. Then we had colored and Indian and white following quite far after that. Majority of homeless people were South African. Some of them were foreign nationals. The distribution between male and female was overwhelmingly male. And a lot of them were quite young, between that 30 and 40 age range, with some being as old as 60. In terms of whether they had identity documents, majority surprisingly had identity documents. We are actually running an event this Thursday at Constitutional Hill where we are helping some homeless people obtain their IDs. As we know, this is such a crucial part for anyone trying to get back on their feet and find a job, or be part of society, is having that ID. So this was really cool information to find. In terms of duration of people being experiencing homelessness, a lot of them were between 2 and 10 years. That's where the significant amount of the distribution was. And it's also really, really tough to see how long people are on the streets for. And then in terms of sleeping arrangements, a lot of them were outside, no structure. Quite a few were in hijacked buildings. That's something that we want to try to tackle in the next count, is get information from said hijacked buildings, because those are things we didn't tackle in this count due to safety and preparation. And you can see then shortly following the hijacked buildings, a lot of it was informal structures, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. In terms of where people came from, you can see the distribution from between Orange Farm, Soweto, Hillbrow, Alexandra. People came from different cities and towns. So I think with that narrative that we're saying, a lot of people come into Joburg looking for work, looking for opportunities. They often then don't find them, and then they're stranded. So we have to develop better mechanisms to actually help them return maybe to their place of origin, if things don't work out in Joburg. In terms of looking at the pathways into homelessness, a lot of people reported neglect or lack of support, poverty or due to financial reasons, substance abuse. A significant amount came from prison or released from an institution. And that's also very interesting to know, because I think when we start talking about homelessness and alleviating homelessness, we have to look at what are the pathways into homelessness. And that's actually one of the biggest ones, is that people come from institutions and they aren't reintegrated into society properly, and they end up being homeless. It's not just prison. It could be from child homes, as we can see, psychiatric hospitals. And we're still trying to understand where else the people come from in that regard. In terms of engagement with organizations, majority of people didn't actually have engagement with service organizations that look to help people find their way out of homelessness or support people that are experiencing homelessness. So you can see there was some people that managed to get in touch with some City of Johannesburg outreach, other shelters other than Mess and U-Turn, and then the other one was soup kitchens. So this is something that I think it's important to try get right, is to how do we increase the friction points between the homeless population and the service organization, so that people who are experiencing homelessness know who they can go to, where they can get help, and what kind of help they can get. So that's I think an educational marketing thing that we need to work on. In terms of history of assistance, this is looking essentially at recurring homelessness. If someone's been actually engaged with a service organization and started a program, have they essentially relapsed back into homelessness, or are they essentially find their way out and achieve lasting independence? That's the goal. So you can see majority of people were never assisted before, and those who were assisted evidently relapsed. In terms of aspirations and needed supports, majority of people that we talk to want to get out of homelessness. And then a few select either were unclear in their response or didn't want to. And that's also something we're beginning to understand, is that some people choose to be homeless from a freedom point of view, and the freedom that it affords. The majority of people want to exit homelessness, and we have to create those right mechanisms to help them with that journey. So in terms of like requests for those supports, as I mentioned, IDs, skills training, rehab services, the majority was work or employment, and then having accommodation. A lot of people reported that they need jobs. So I think it's something that we need to work on as a collective, is what are the kinds of jobs we can offer to people who have been experiencing homelessness, or what are the mechanisms we can create to get them back into the economy and get them working in some sort of way. So in terms of our key takeaways from what we could see from the data, the geographic context matters. Counts conducted in the evenings captured a high concentration of rough sleepers or homeless people, especially in the inner city areas. In terms of your demographics, it was overwhelmingly Black males and African nationals. In terms of entrenchment versus new homelessness, there are two types of groups that require different interventions based on what they need. There is institutional discharge as a vulnerability point, as we were saying, like what are the pathways into homelessness, where they're coming from, how can we possibly prevent people from coming homeless if they are in an institution. As we said, there's low service engagement. How do we increase the friction points for people experiencing homelessness to find an organization that could potentially help them out of it? And then the high demand for employment and housing, I think shows a real need that we all kind of know, but don't maybe know the extent of. In terms of feedback, so people who helped volunteer and participate in the counts was really, really positive. Almost all of the people that participated said they would be interested in conducting a future count. So I think this just speaks from the community aspect of what I've been saying. We need community buy-in. The count really gets done by the people from the areas, and it's overwhelmingly positive. And I think a large part of that was this is the first time a lot of these guys interacted with homeless people, like really interacted, asked them questions, were curious about their situation. And I think what we had reports is that people were blown away from those interactions, and I think by how when they met someone who was experiencing homelessness, they could really relate to them, and if they didn't know they were homeless, they probably couldn't guess that they would be, because of the interaction. It was so positive, and they were together. So I think people were really surprised by that, and that sparked a lot of positive feedback. I mean, just to give some further quotes, eye-opening experiences, overwhelmingly positive, enlightening, well organized, and that was a really good feedback to get from our perspective. Yeah, it was great to see people's eagerness. Just some pictures showing us from 14th Thorpe organizing. That was us doing our briefings. Bottom right was our control room, tracking each of the teams that went out to the city, making sure that they were accounted for. And then when they were done, we had taxis picking them up and bringing them back to the hub. So that was quite deep. In terms of, I think, just key, I think the key reflections from the counts. As I noted, we started in May, so it was more than 3 months of planning. Our key challenges were volunteers and resources and logistics, I think, just from a first attempt point of view. And actually, when we had more people on the day, we weren't ready for it. Unfortunately, when conducting this, I think we realized there was quite a few stakeholder groups that we left out of the counts. So we'll be looking to include more people in the next one. And then the transportation was difficult to coordinate in terms of getting people home at such a late hour. But we did. Everyone got home safely eventually. So what is needed next, and what are we looking at in the future for Jozi My Jozi and the social work stream? So we wanted to potentially extrapolate these numbers and use it to understand more about what's happening with homelessness in the city. I'm busy drafting a report on the actual point in time count, really detailing the planning that went in, the results, I think discussing that a little bit more. And when that's ready, we'll happy to share that far and wide. Ultimately refining the methodology and planning a framework to take to future counts and share with people that are interested. We need to finalize a date for the next count. It'll probably be in either I think February or March. And then just in general advocacy for greater stakeholder involvement to help us with the next one. In terms of, I think, just looking at the thing that we want to try to create is it's establishing this reliable measurement framework. So as we said, we start having the data. If you can name it, you can tame it. If we can be specific about the problem and where the pain points are, I think we could do a much better job in terms of planning and resource allocation. And that's what essentially this is showing us here. We're looking at where can we prevent homelessness if it's occurring, what are the intervention methods, what's the aftercare support, is that resulting in non-recurring or recurring homelessness? And that's as simple as we can put it. So I think once we start to get the data and understand this more, we can be a lot more targeted in terms of our intervention methods. In terms of infrastructure redevelopment and support, we are working with MES to renovate some shelters in the city. So we're also looking to establish these things called safe spaces. So we're talking about how do we reduce the friction points for service organizations to interact with homeless people. Often people who are homeless can't afford to go to shelter or don't want to based on the rules that are involved. And we're trying to establish a medium for them to at least, let's say, abide by like city bylaws, for example, because often you'll find homeless people sleeping and gathering and setting up their shelters in places that it violates a bylaw or it's illegal to be. So we want to establish these things called safe sleeping spaces, which are essentially open areas. There's nothing special to them other than the fact that it's a designated area for people to come and sleep. For people that are experiencing homelessness, and there will be a security element to it in the sense that the site will be watched. We're not going to dictate what people do in that area, but they only allowed to come and then have to leave at a certain time. And also, if they are gathered in an area, it gives our service organizations an opportunity to then go and interact with them. So we're looking at potentially using a site at Pullingerkop Park. You can see that red star and rectangle, and then also by Charlton Terrace where you see the red and yellow star. Those are the two main areas that we're looking at to establish such spaces. And then, yeah, also potentially, and just further perspective of where one of the shelters are. There's a day service center located on the yellow X that can directly go and support the people that would be staying at the safe space noted by that yellow star. This is just perspective of what the yellow star looks like. That's Charlton Terrace. That's the underpass there. There already are homeless people there, but how can we make it a safe space and conducive, I think, to them and their situation. In terms of the shelters that we're looking to renovate, MES have 3 shelters in the city, Rufunoni, Ekuteleni, and Ikaya. They are serving different roles in terms of the day and night services. And unfortunately, a lot of them aren't operating in capacity, I think, just due to structural deficiencies. So we're looking to come in and actually help renovate and redevelop them to ensure that the shelters are operating at maximum capacity. As you saw from the early numbers of people we counted, just the people that we counted, there's so many people that we didn't find. Is over 2,000 people, and they're not nearly 2,000 beds at shelters, for example, within the city. So that's something where we have to make an improvement on. So just for perspective, looking at some of the designs that we've got done, We have designs for each of the 3 shelters, and we've also done the QS numbers on them. We're busy working on activating them as projects with our partners and sponsors, and hopefully starting them soon. Alongside the shelters and that we want to develop in the safe sleeping spaces, we are trying to develop a digital database and dashboard. So this is something that's going to collect all the information that we can gather on homelessness. This is both from the point in time count and the information that's generated from the service centers. So when they take on new beneficiaries or have people that have been in the system for long, how do we accurately reflect that? And that's what this database and dashboard seeks to solve. So anyone who's involved in the work, I think that we all do, needs to have a perspective on what the situation looks like, and we want to make that widely available as we can. So we are in the process. We are busy developing a database and dashboard to serve that purpose. And that development is well underway. This is just for perspective of what it could look like. It'll look much more refined than this, but just for perspective. And then also in terms of like digital initiatives, we are looking to change the narrative on compassionate giving to responsible giving. So what is compassionate giving? What's responsible giving? Compassionate giving is essentially when you just hand out money to people who are begging or asking for it. And obviously we do that out of care and concern. If we can try and make a difference in someone's life, we will. Giving is, I think, one of the best things people can do. But unfortunately, like when you do give in that way out of compassion and the money, often we always wonder, like, is that going to be used for the thing that maybe they're saying they're going to use it for, or what we think they should be using it for? Like, let's say for food or basic needs goods, or for their family. Does it get used for drugs and alcohol? And unfortunately, often it is. So how can we change that to something that's responsible? How can we make sure that the money is spent in a good way? And we are working with My Change and Lotto to establish a voucher system whereby it's actually already up and running in Cape Town, where people can go and buy vouchers and hand them out to people that need them, to allow them access to a shelter for a night, for example. They can redeem it for that access, or access to go get new clothes, or access ablution facilities. There are lots of use cases for what vouchers can be redeemed for. And what's also great about it is that then you're controlling the spend. So all the money that people would be willing to give anyway, you're now supporting the services that actually help people get out of the situation that they're in. As I say, increase those friction points. And we're looking to kind of take that to the next level with like these digital earned vouchers with lottos, so that when people are actually in the system and they're still learning to be responsible with money, we have this digital currency that can be earned from either participating in workshops or doing good deeds in the community. Like, let's say, for example, you clean up an area, take a before and after photo, you can get rewarded for that and redeem your lottos to go buy your basic needs goods or get a haircut, or anything from any one of the registered vendors. So again, you managing the flow of what people are doing, and you're encouraging positive behaviors, as opposed to people, let's say, begging, and they beg and they can make hundreds of rands a day from begging. It doesn't encourage them to get out of their situation, because they can just maintain it. And in general, I think just pretty much to end off the presentation is how can we continue to address homelessness together? And that's mainly through, I think, alignment on our strategy. This is just a graphic on what the prescriptions of the National Green Paper look like. How do we reduce the pathways in? How do we improve lives of people that are experiencing homelessness? How do we create pathways out, and then ultimately establish those long-term outcomes of lasting independence and stable accommodation? So if we can all think essentially according to this framework, like what are we doing in terms of each of these kind of four aspects, and how is it working together? I think we can start to see a real like positive change in the homeless space. In terms of that, also looking at the whole ecosystem, I was just talking about the responsible giving that supports and creates independence, like substantiating shelters with food and clothing, abolition facilities, the mental health screenings, for example, then having proper programs like drug rehab, paid employment opportunities, life and vocational skills. It's all part of it. You're really trying to rebuild people's lives that have been experiencing this for significant amounts of time, as we saw, and then having the right, like, I guess, levels going from safe spaces to first phase housing, second phase, transitional, and then low cost. And then ultimately, how do we also support our officers, ensuring that they can do their jobs to the best of their abilities? I think when we look at that ecosystem, is how are we all fitting in together? If an officer or security personnel find a homeless person, do they know what is the most like humane way to approach them and empathize and advise them correctly? Let's say taking them to a safe space, for example, as opposed to locking them up or taking them out and dropping them off on the outskirts of town. We have to have the right communication between ourselves and how do we address things together. That's where that ecosystem kind of comes into play. And then ultimately it's just advocating for one another. What are we doing at what level, and how can we just create that overall alignment and support each other in what we do. I think that's what we're doing at this meeting, and we just need to continue to do that and grow it. Thank you. Appreciate the time. Happy to take any questions.
Wow. Thank you for that, Dean. One thing I just wanted to obviously say is I always admire the thought process of you, the team at IQ Business, around strategizing around the issue. I like how you break it down, and then you consider all factors: the input, the through flow, the output, and just ensuring that there is an impact behind every activity that you guys undertake. I know we are over time, but I think it's a valuable discussion to have. So I will just take a few questions, and I think we'll wrap up at 1:15 or whenever the questions run out. But from my side, I would say the data was quite sobering in terms of the typology of homeless individuals in a city, being obviously majority Black male South Africans between that 25 to 40 age range. And yeah, I'm just glad you are also considering programs around empowering them to change their situations through My Change Ends Lotto. I think that will be the most important step, really, to rehabilitating these vulnerable groups, giving them something to do that's productive. So thanks for that work, Dean. I see Kelvin has a question. Kelvin.
Good day, colleagues. Thank you, Dean, for the comprehensive presentation. And it is glad to see that you are developing the model to try and deal with or eradicate the homeless issue. I've got questions for you. The first question, please forgive me if I missed what I'm going to ask. Upon conducting the profiling drive, if I can put it like that, do you have a percentage of homeless indicated willing to accept services that are provided, like rehabilitation for those who are on drugs and other substances, a family reunion, and also maybe those who are willing to be to be admitted into shelters? That's my first question. And my second question, are you talking to the good Samaritans, the ones that are feeding the homeless people on the streets? Because I think we really need to get those on board, because to me, they are encouraging. By giving them food on the streets, they are encouraging them to continue living on those spots. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks for your questions, Kelvin. I'll answer your second question first. I think kind of where I ended on that presentation, that advocacy strategy side of things. This event that we have on Thursday, it's all around World Homelessness Day, and the main aim of the event is actually to educate a lot of our corporate partners about what we're doing, what's the homeless space looking like, how to properly engage with it, and as we say, do things that encourage better habits. So, for example, as you're saying, if people are giving out food, there's a structured way to do it, because I think a lot of people do it out of compassion, and we all want to give. It's human of us to care, But as we say, often if it's done in an unstructured way, it could lead to the encouragement of bad habits, or not encourage people to go and get the help that they need. So I think on that front, it feeds into the more educational side of things that we're trying to work on, and we want to share. So I'll be able to share a lot more, I think, after this event, because we'll do some more posts and advocacy around it. But it's educating people. If you're an individual that wants to help homelessness in your area, the best thing you do is contact a shelter or service organization, volunteer. If it's money you want to donate, there's some very good causes. You can support this Lotto, for example, or buy vouchers. So I think it's really actually educating people on what's the right way to help others that are experiencing the situation in a way that is productive for them and encourages the good habits. So it's a very much an educational aspect that we're working on, and we're busy developing the material, and then we're going to actively work to market it. So as that gets developed, we'll put it on our website, share it on our socials, and then hopefully, collaborate with you guys on stuff like that, and really understand what's the best and most conducive way to help people off the streets. In terms of your first question, with I think there's further breakdown in terms of understanding what people want if they want to find their way out of homelessness. The one graphic that I showed, it was the majority of people wanted to get out of homelessness. And what some of the service organizations do, they do that drug rehab, they do the family repatriation. I need to just double check a questionnaire, because I'm not sure if we specifically asked it, but that's something we can also iterate upon for future counts. If information like that would be very useful to find out, we just incorporate it into the methodology. So I think when we start planning the next count and we get the stakeholders involved, we can review the count and questionnaire form and say what are other bits of information that would be really helpful for us. I think we did get some of that to the extent where we asked people, if you want to exit homelessness, what support do you need? And we had that distribution of mental health support, ID documents, skills training, rehab services, accommodation, or work and employment. But maybe we can include one or two other questions for the future count.
Thanks for that, Dean. Hopefully Kelvin is answered in that. Definitely looking forward to the next count, but also looking forward to the piloting of those lottos and my change. I just wanted to understand your timelines around that. When will you be possibly piloting the voucher system side of things, and which locations are you looking towards? Is it mainly around where you did the first count, those locations, or is what's the step forward with that?
So I think we're still outlining the full roadmap towards it, but where we at now is that we've been conducting pilots in Cape Town. with the vouchers and the lottos. So that's been underway. It's understanding how that system works and what are the right elements to it. In terms of implementing it in Joburg, I'd imagine we're going to start with the different service centers. So people that are involved in programs, how do we reward people for, like, let's say, showing up to like an AA meeting, for example? You can get rewarded for doing things like that. And what's great about this lotto system, when people do things, there's the one side of people doing the thing and getting rewarded for it, and then there's the other side of completely remote, separate people reviewing what has been submitted in terms of actions performed and then approving it. Those people also get rewarded in terms of lottos. So people being rewarded on both sides of the system, which is great. And then it's just about growing it. I think Lotto is something that's already being used at Alexandria, for example. It's where it started. It's actually targeted at people that aren't homeless. It's people that aren't employed, for example, they're not useless. They can do things, or they want to go seek further education. They can get rewarded for essentially just improving themselves or their community around them, and that's how Lotto is really set up. The adaptation to the homelessness side of things is, I think, it's how to help people in programs. So, like, the element of not giving them money is one thing. Like, when you're working through the different stages of the programs at the shelters, like, people who are trying to still establish independence for themselves aren't reliable in handling their own money, for example, or the temptation to then use that money to go spend it on drugs and alcohol again is too high. So when you have something like this, it's also safe, it's secure. But again, you're fairly channeled in where you have to spend it. So I hope it's soon. I can't give you an exact answer on the timelines and the locations. But I think once we are settled and up and running on that, we will let you know in force.
Thanks for that, Dean. And then I see Earl from the CRAM department at City of Johannesburg just asked for your email address and contact number. So if you can just leave that in the chat
Sure.
box, I'm sure he wants to assist in some way, which is obviously part of why we have these meetings. So if you can just leave that, that would be great. But
Sure.
definitely, thank you for your presentation. I'm sure a lot of our colleagues will rewatch this recording for this specific presentation. So, and obviously also Kelvin's on. But yeah, thank you for that presentation, and we look forward to any updates from your side. Thanks, Dee.
Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to working with you guys on everything that we do in the future.
No problem. Always a platform for you to share your updates here at the GPMA.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Yes, so since we are over time, I will just wrap things up there. As I said, the Urban Practice Forum for next week will be cancelled due to SALGA's Urban Management and Governance Workshop. The next chapter meeting, which will be the last one for the year, will be on the 25th of November. And obviously, as I said, it will be for the Presidential Working Group, the Accelerated Service Delivery program by the Mayoral Office, and so on and so forth. So other than that, please look out for Katie's emails or my emails around upcoming events and invites to these events. And then obviously now currently there's the Energy Indaba that you all can tune into. Thank you to Andrew for sharing that link with us in the chat box. So if anyone still has time, you can join that. But there's also day 2 tomorrow. But other than that, from my side, thank you all for attending, and thank you for staying over time. I know everyone has other things to do, so I'll just end it over there. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of your day. See you guys on the 25th, and have a productive end of the year. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.